I'm going to show you how I've created a micro brand that generates me multiple six figures every single year, and why I believe that as we continue to move into this age of AI that we're in, how this is more important than ever, especially if your goal is to be able to stand out, to be able to get dream clients, and to be able to grow a sustainable coaching or consulting business. In fact, I really believe you don't need more followers. Like a lot of people are still out there trying to chase vanity metrics. They're just trying to do more and more and more. When in fact, from my experience, you need a sharper message, a stronger point of view, and 1,000 true fans. And why I believe this matters in 2026 is again, most people are chasing more leads, more followers, more volume, but they're still not getting enough quality
Buyers.
buyers. In fact, one of my clients that I do fractional work for, she is she gets a lot of leads in her health coaching business. But the struggle for her right now is they're not converting into actual book calls on a consistent basis, or at least the quality is not even there, and she's not getting enough clients to really grow and scale to the next phase of her business. And she's doing pretty good. Like she's generating, anywhere from like 15 to 40K, but it's all over the place. And she's spending a lot of money on ads. She's has posts that go viral from time to time. So she has plenty of lead flow, but the quality is down. And here lies the problem. We don't want to just be going after lots of human beings. We want to go after the right human beings because the internet is flooded and more noise is not the answer. Like again, a lot of people are spending money on more money on ads. They're posting more content. They're DMing more people, but they still don't have enough dream clients every month. And so the game here, the better game in my opinion, is to go deeper with a few people. And this brings us to the 1,000 true fans concept. So I first learned about this concept from a
A
guy named Kevin Kelly. I believe he wrote this article back in the 90s where he was basically communicating that artists and musicians, if they had 1,000 true fans, then they can make a sustainable living from their art, from their music, no matter what they sold. And so nowadays, I believe this is more true than ever, especially for us as coaches and experts, that when we stop chasing the masses and we become unavoidable to a smaller room, like you don't need to have a massive audience. Like, can you imagine right
right now.
now having 1,000 customers in your high ticket program or offer? Probably not. And so whether for you, you're like, well, I want to have 3,000 true fans or 5,000 true fans or 10,000 true fans, whatever, you could scale and grow your true fan base. But starting with that base of 1,000 true fans to like literally anything you put out, people will buy. That, my friend, is how you grow because now you have demand, right? So let's say you're trying to fill your coaching program with 100 clients and you do. Well, all of a sudden, you either need to hire more people, you need to systematize. There's demand where you're legitimately sought after now, and you're not out here chasing clients. It literally chases how you show up, your emotional state in your business, and how you're perceived by the audience. And so, the three components of a micro brand are trust, depth, and then the perception of demand. Because a micro brand gives you these things. You get easier referrals, you get stronger trust with people, you have better clients, there's more buying intent behind it. And a micro brand is not really just a smaller brand. I mean, I know people that have 20,000 followers of the right people. What it is, though, is a sharper brand. It helps you truly carve your own sub niche. You stand for something clear and you do become the obvious choice when the right people are ready to buy. And so, some components of this is a sub niche, which we'll talk about more in a second. You having a strong point of view on the thing that you're helping solve, and you have deeper trust, which creates
Client.
client demand. I remember when I first discovered this, it was actually back when I was building a gym. Everybody around there was like Orange Theories and 9 rounds and Fit Body boot camps and the big LA fitnesses, the big box gyms. And I was like, man, I want to create something different because I was having a hard time getting clients. And at the time, I was just running a boot camp, just a regular outdoor boot camp. And I was like, I wonder if I can like find a select group of people in South Florida where I lived that just want to do outdoor training, but they want to have gym equipment around too. They want the best of both worlds. And so that kind of birthed this idea of the outdoor fitness center to where I long story short, I built an outdoor gym, plenty of equipment out there. We had this unique concept, and I had a lot of demand. We built it up to 300 members, and we had thousands of people come out there. And that's an example of like really creating a micro brand that is different than what everybody else is doing. And I discovered something as well when I first became an online fitness coach back around 2018, 2019 timeframe. There was so many online fitness coaches, and this is especially going into COVID where everybody became an online coach like overnight. And I remember specifically, I was on the phone with a prospect, and her husband was like, "Hey, honey, who are you on the phone with?" She's like, "I'm on the phone with that stubborn fat ninja warrior guy." And that's what it hit me, like the perception that people have of you. And so in my market then, I was the stubborn belly fat guy, which I'll explain more about how to pick the problem in just a minute. But I had also had this whole background story of me training to go on American Ninja Warrior. And I also had this strong point of view that where I was speaking to business owners, and I developed this persona to people. And so this again helped me build a micro brand. And I've repeated this formula that I'm showing you multiple times over the years in every offer that I've ever had. And so here is the framework. I call it the 4M micro brand framework. And this is like the core thing that I want you to get down from today's video. It's you need to have a really dialed in message. You need to have the right media. You need to have the right mechanism to actually convert consistently. And then you need to have a machine to make it repeatable. In a nutshell, you need to say the right words in the right way, dare I say in the right order, to the right people. And then there's like media. You want to plug those words into a content ecosystem that can build know, like, and trust with people, and that can create your own world with these people. It's like you're creating your own kind of Netflix show, if you will. And then you've got your mechanism. This is where you can use workshops and masterclasses to convert this attention into clients. And workshops and masterclasses work when you're trying to build a micro brand because you get a lot of exposure to people. They get to join like an actual community. And then the machine is where you have the KPIs that you need and you build the systems to make it repeatable. And so the message is, and I want you to think about it like this. The message is basically the words that you're using in your content, in your ads, in your marketing to attract clients. What most people are doing is one of two things. Number one is they are just too generic with the message. And so they're attracting maybe leads, but the wrong types of leads. Like I was reviewing a health coach's content the other day on Instagram, and he went viral. He had a video that did like 1.2 million. He said he had 900 comments. He had all these DMs, people. You would think that like, dude, this guy's got to be crushing it. He was like, dude, I've signed 0 clients from this. And I was like, right. Because his content was so generic, it was attracting such a large volume of people, but finding his ideal client was like a needle in a haystack, and he was burning out trying to DM all of these like unideal clients. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is they're just teaching at people. If you're just teaching and you're not actually shifting beliefs with your messaging, then you're going to be incredibly commoditized. It's like this. If you're just out there, I want you to imagine you have a megaphone and you're just preaching out into a very crowded marketplace, but you have a bunch of other people that are also doing the same thing. You might get a couple heads to turn. You might get people to come over to your booth, if you will, in this marketplace, but you're going to probably have very few buyers. Versus if you had a dog whistle and you blew that dog whistle, the only things that are going to probably turn are dogs. And that's what we want to do with our messaging. We want to create dog whistle messaging. If your messaging is generic, your brand will disappear. You're not going to get a lot of the right people. So a strong message usually gets at least 3 things right. The person. Who exactly are you for? So when you're creating your own sub niche, I want you to think about a dream client, because I'm going to show you here in a minute how we tap into their psychology. And this is how one of the layers we use to start to create the sub niche. Then the second is the problem. What painful issue do they want solved? Like, I don't want you to think about like confidence. Dude, no. Everybody, it's like, stop. like what's a painful problem? Like for me in my fitness business, it was stubborn belly fat that they, no matter what they did, how much money they spent on diet, they couldn't figure it out. Like now it's like I will help people get pre-sold clients. So all these people that have all of these leads or followers or whatever, I showed them how to actually make money from their business. It's a really painful issue. And then what's your point of view? What you believe that challenges the market? Especially now we have ChatGPT and Claude, and like people are using AI to do their thinking for them, and they don't actually have strong opinions. They don't have a strong point of view. So it's like when you have a strong point of view on what you do, it's going to allow you to start to stand out. And then, of course, and there's the story aspect. This is part of what I was articulating when this lady was like, it's that Ninja Warrior stubborn belly fat guy. Part of your story is also going to help you with your messaging create something completely different. And an example of just a generic message is like, I help online coaches grow online, or I help coaches grow online. Generic versus like, I help established coaches become the go-to expert in their subnet so dream clients come pre-sold. Much better, right? Much better. Does that make sense? And then the second thing is you got to own a painful problem with this. Don't try to be known for everything in your niche, which is like very common. If you're a good coach, it's easy to be like, dude, I can help people with everything. Own one issue so deeply that people associate you with the solution. So if you own the problem before you sell the solution, like that's the absolute key. Your market should be able to say, oh, that person helps with blank. So in my market, people might say, okay, he helps with influence and messaging. You know, he helps me make content that converts. Like I'm known for something very specific. Like if you go to like people that know me, like in my quote unquote 1,000 true fans, they're gonna say something like that. And what the concept that you want to think here is you want to create memory. You don't want to be like, oh, it's that weight loss coach. Maybe, but there's a bajillion of those. It's like, oh, that's that stubborn belly fat coach. He's like a Ninja Warrior guy, right? You start to create memory, and memory creates trust, and trust creates demand. So, like, for example, I'll often repeat things like dream clients watch your content, but they're not buying. Or your message is too generic, or you're teaching too much, you got to shift beliefs, or your content's attracting the wrong people, or your sales calls require too much convincing. I am constantly repeating the same ideas over and over again, and I'm truly owning a painful problem. So, what is that painful problem that you can own within yours? And then the second major thing, the second M, if you will, is the media. This is where you're taking that messaging and you're plugging it into a content ecosystem that builds know, like, and trust. And so the best micro brand content is not just random education, it's repeating your same core belief shifting messaging through different angles. And so your content should do ultimately three jobs. Number one, of course, you got to attract the right attention. You need to say something specific enough that the right people stop scrolling. Again, I mentioned examples of people that are like getting tons of followers and millions of views, hundreds of comments, lots of DMs, but they're not converting. So we want to attract the right attention, hence using the dog whistle. Number two, we want to build trust. So you got to use stories, your stories, client stories, social proof, and teaching insights to deepen buy-in. And so building trust isn't about like, here's how to do a squat, you know? Don't do that. Like it's so commoditized. You want to teach insights. So for example, when I was running my fitness business, I would teach like, hey, it's not about eating healthy, it's about eating right. Insight. And then I would teach what that meant. And now people are like deep, there's more buy-in because I'm getting them to believe a new thing. And then I'm teaching them something that they're not hearing anywhere else besides me, most likely. Today, I'm teaching a lot about, hey, it's not about just teaching at your audience. It's about influencing. It's about shifting people's beliefs. This now gives people an insight and it deepens buy-in. And then number three is content should drive the next step. So most people are just using like Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, very, very top of funnel. And sure, that can work, especially if you're a newbie. But like, if you're trying to build a sustainable business, you want to move people into a middle of funnel. Move interested people into what I call your mechanism. And so the mechanism, at least how I've always done it, is using workshops and masterclasses to convert attention in the clients. And especially here with this concept of building a micro brand, This is incredibly helpful. You see, content has to lead somewhere. Like, if it's just leading to your DMs, I'm sure that can work with enough volume, but it becomes much harder, especially at scale. A micro brand needs one clear mechanism that moves people from interested to pre sold by shifting beliefs before the offer. And so we would have, like, say, content, which attracts attention, like on your Instagram or whatever. Then you have conversation. This is going to create context, right? So this is where you're chatting, maybe chatting with somebody in the DMs. Most people are trying to go right here to the offer. And most people don't know how to shift beliefs, especially in their everyday content. So the best way to do it is having some type of masterclass, a workshop. Heck, you can have a really good VSL that can work too. Then the offer. Does that make sense? And
And so
so why this works when you do this correctly is you're getting people, and I like workshops the best where you get people on like a Zoom call because it really builds community, and that further, at least in my experience, kind of solidifies and gets those true fans because you can have back and forth banter with people. It's not just like people watching you on Facebook or Instagram. You're getting your best leads, your best prospects on a live Zoom, and it really builds that connection. But what a good masterclass or workshop or VSL should do is to sell people on a new belief system. And I have a whole workshop that I did on this. So if you want to see the 8 core beliefs workshop, check the description down below and you'll see a link. You want to be able to shift, you want to get people to believe in an aspiring identity. So sell them a new identity. So if they're like a fat parent, they want to be a fit parent, sell them on the identity as possible for them. You need to sell them a unique solution. So I would have sold them on my stubborn fat solution or sell them on my magic messaging concept, right? They need to buy into a unique way of doing things, not the way they've been trying things. And you need to sell them on social proof that other people have done what they're trying to do. And the best way you could do all of these is by telling stories. And so this is where your brand, if you do this correctly, stops being just content and starts becoming an actual business where you can literally have this conveyor belt where you're moving people constantly into your offer, whether you're doing sales calls, you're selling them a sales page, or a lot of my clients have just sold straight from their workshops or masterclasses. And then number 4 is like how we actually make it repeatable. This is the machine. And so depending on your specific business model, it could look quite differently, but these are like where you have to have some type of key performance indicators, KPIs. Otherwise, like, how do you know what to do? And then systems to make it repeatable. And
and
so
so
the first with like your KPIs. So when I say the concept of 1,000 true fans, like, how do I know I need 1,000 people? Well, it's because I know my numbers. Like, I know specifically how many people I need to attend a masterclass to be able to convert X amount of clients. You get what I'm saying? Knowing what your KPIs are so important. And again, it might look different depending on your specific model, but it's absolutely key. It's like if you're trying to get fit, and at least in my experience, I track my macros. I know exactly what I'm going to eat. I'm tracking my workout sets and repetitions and the weight that I'm using. I'm getting really clear. And the more I track this stuff, the fitter I'm going to get in a much faster rate. It's the same thing with business. If you're trying to grow a business without tracking your KPIs, you're probably not a serious business owner, or I don't know what's wrong with you, if I'm just being honest. But some of the systems are like your content cadence. How often are you publishing and where? What's your content flow? Your lead flow. How many interested leads are entering the process? When they do enter your process, how are you systematically moving them into your middle of the funnel, getting them to consume your belief shifting content? Your conversion KPIs, your workshop attendance, how many people are attending, how many people are booking calls, how many people are closing, your follow-up system, how many reminders are going out, how many people are, what's your nurture sequence look like? What are the next steps? Like, how are people actually converting? Because most people have these like go high level or the CRM pipelines to where leads are either buying or dying. And very small percentage of people are going to buy right away. And so you need to make sure you have this system dialed in so that way you can build that know, like, and trust. Like, if somebody, like, you got to think, there's a sales diagram I could picture in my head right now where, like, studies show that 3% of people at the top of the pyramid, the top of the triangle, are ready to buy now. And then there's something like 7 or 10% are going to be buying soon. They're like information gathering. And these are a lot of people that are like, I want your lead magnet, or like they're gathering information. And then like 25% or so are problem aware. Like they're like, oh, I know I'm fat, or I know I'm broke, or whatever. But they're not yet like gathering information. And then a good portion of it, like 55 or 60%, they're not even problem aware, or they're not in the stage of like really trying to solve their problem yet. And so we got to think that, like, there's that top 40% or whatever that they might not be ready to buy right away, but we want to make sure that we have a systematic way to get them into our middle of the funnel, so that they're staying in our media ecosystem, right? They're consuming our YouTube videos, they're seeing our emails, they're continuing to see social media. Maybe we're using retargeting ads to put content in front of them. We got to have a system, otherwise you're just leaving it up to chance. And so when you have a machine installed, growth stops depending on random motivation or the algorithm or whatever. And so here's a little 30-day micro brand sprint that you could do. Week 1 is figure out your micro brand message. Choose the sub niche. You're really creating the sub niche by defining the painful problem. Right? What is that core point of view that you want your brand to be known for? Week 2, build out your content ecosystem. I have other videos on this channel that you can go through to kind of gain what the ecosystem looks like. But you'll have a top of funnel like Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, or sorry, Facebook or Instagram, middle of the funnel like YouTube and email, and then you have your regular masterclasses or workshops. And then week 3, what's a workshop or masterclass that you can run? And what's a clear call to action that moves people into your offer? Week 4, what are the KPIs that you need? What's going to be your content cadence between like your Instagram, YouTube videos, emails? What's that follow-up system look like? And then what's that weekly review system? When you can like truly just do fewer things, but with more conviction and just better, you are going to massively grow. And so mistakes that keep micro brands invisible, at least in my experience, is you want to make sure that you're not trying to serve everyone. Specificity creates speed. Really, really key. The more specific you are, dog whistle, the more you're going to call in the right people. And then chasing volume over resonance is absolutely, like, in my opinion, the wrong way to go. If you go deeper with the right people, it's going to beat reach with the wrong ones. Teaching without taking a stand. If all you're doing is just sharing information, it's forgettable. It's a dime a dozen on social media. But a very strong point of view is memorable. And then no clear mechanism. Again, attention alone doesn't create clients. You got to have a mechanism, like a masterclass, a workshop, a VSL. You need something to shift people's beliefs and move them into a next step. And so the real goal is to become an expert, the go-to expert for a sub niche, and that's going to help you make a lot of money by serving a smaller room more deeply. And so you don't need a bigger audience, you need stronger resonance. A micro brand is going to help you become easier to remember, attract dream clients, shorten the trust building process, and make your offer feel like the obvious next step. So the outcome, become known by the right people, trusted for one problem, chosen more often, and paid better. So pick your room, pick your flag, build your 4Ms, serve your 1,000 true fans, and lead them to the next step. And if you want to go a little bit deeper into what it looks like to build a micro brand, I did a full-length video breaking down the process more in depth. Just comment the word micro or look in the description in the chat and go deeper if you would like. Hope you have an amazing day. Make sure to click subscribe if you found this video helpful. And remember, your message matters. Don't be afraid to speak it.